So all the crazies like Bill Nye the Science Guy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others turned out to the South by Southwest Festival in Austin this weekend. And some of the things they said were absolutely outrageous. We'll take a look at all of that. Plus, Beto prepares to run for president. And we'll take a look at the movie Captain Marvel. Was it worth seeing? Was all the controversy a drawback leading into it? We'll take a look. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
Okay, we're going to start with Bill Nye the Science Guy, because if there's anything he isn't, it's a science guy. He's a typical left-wing radical that got popular, and now he is milking it for everything he can. So he was at South by Southwest in Austin this weekend, and he said some pretty bizarre stuff, but it's not even the most bizarre that we'll get into for the show. But he made a guest stop at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's presentation, and he's a big fan. He says she gets it. And I just want to, here's a tweet that he posted after the show. He said, AOC gets it. She sees the fears dividing us. We can address income inequality. We can address climate change if we get together and get to work. So it's all the fact that we just are not together. You know, it's not the fact that their policies are outrageous, that they'll bankrupt the country, that they'll lead to socialism, which leads to poverty and corruption and, you know, everything else that destroys, you know, the American will and the American spirit and individualism and things like that. That doesn't matter. It's just, it doesn't work because we're not all getting together. So I want to play a couple little clips from him and just see what you think. Here's the first one.
As you may know, I'm a white guy. I belong to 2 unions.
Wow.
But I think the problem on both sides is fear.
Yep.
People are afraid, people of my ancestry are afraid of having to pay for everything when as immigrants come into this country.
Okay, so he's complaining, you know, about his white privilege, you know, that this gives him a disadvantage all of a sudden. So maybe we shouldn't even, you know, address what he said. But he said that, you know, people like him, whites, are concerned that their money will be going to, you know, to immigrants and people like that. So, you know, it's just outrageous because it's like anyone who has a brain, you know, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. You're concerned if your tax dollars are going to support people that are doing illegal activities. You know, you're concerned if your money is just wasted because taxes are supposed to be going to American citizens who are covered under the American Constitution, not people who are here illegally. So it's just logical to be concerned about where your money is going. But he phrases it in this terms of this racist, you know, whites don't want immigrants. I mean, give me a break. I mean, if that's not fear, you know, and fear mongering, I don't know what is. But then he adds this other little bit.
When we address climate change, we're going to have clean water, access to the internet, and renewable electricity for everyone on Earth. Let's go.
Okay, so according to him, climate change is about clean water, you know, renewable energy for all, and free internet. So, you know, I guess the people, you know, living in huts in Africa or something are going to have their little Mr. Fusion instead of a campfire. And they'll all be, you know, chatting online, you know, posting stuff on Instagram because we've got free internet in all the villages and, you know, all the rainforests and everywhere. But I mean, that's part of climate change is internet access for all. But, you know, that's just the lead-in. That's just a sampling of some of the stuff he said. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she went off the deep end. I didn't think it could get any deeper. And, you know, people are always talking about how, you know, the right is just mystified by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They don't know what to think of her, and that's why they cover her all the time. I cover her because it's just amazing that when you think you've reached a level of stupid, it just keeps going down. And you're just wondering, how low can it get before people just, you know, all people scratch their head and say, you know, this lady's insane. But she had just a number of little sound bites that were just golden, and I want to go over a few. Here's the first one.
Emphasis in democratic socialism is on democracy, and it's not about, you know, it's just as much a transformation about bringing democracy to the workplace so that we have a say and that we don't check all of our rights at the door every time we cross the threshold into our workplace.
All right, that one cracks me up because she talks about, democracy, socialism, democratic socialism is basically about democracy, which it's not. And, people don't want to check their freedom at the door. Yet, she's the same person that talks about the Green New Deal, which amounts to a massive government takeover of resources and tax dollars, making people less free. You have less money, so you have less freedom to buy what you want. Yet, according to the Green New Deal as well, you can't be eating burgers, you can't be flying on planes, you can't be driving cars. It's all about taking freedom away. So that doesn't even make sense what she's saying there. It runs completely contradictory to what she actually believes. And here's the next one.
We should not be haunted by the specter of being automated out of work, right? We should not feel nervous about the toll booth collector not having to collect tolls anymore. We should be excited by that. But the reason we're not excited by it is because we live in a society where if you don't have a job, you are left to die.
All right, so here she's talking about the, fearing automation, that we shouldn't fear automation. And it's only, human nature to fear something that may take your job away. And I mean, to me, that's just normal. If a computer or a robot's going to come in and do your job and you're out of a job, that's something that any normal person would be apprehensive about, but not her. And the reason is because there's jobs for all. She's promising wages for all, jobs for all, even if you don't want to work. So if a computer or a robot or some kind of automation comes in and takes your job, it's okay because jobs and work don't matter because the hardworking taxpayers are going to pay you anyway. If you can't work, we're going to pay you. If you don't want to work, we're going to pay you too. So, with her system, it doesn't matter. Don't fear automation because you can sit on your butt and watch football all day long. You're going to get paid. It's all cool. So take a look at this one. This is a follow-up to those comments.
Bill Gates has talked about taxing robots at 90%. And what that means, what he's really talking about is taxing corporations at 90%. But it's easier to say tax a robot.
All right, so there you go. We're going to tax robots. We're going to tax corporations at 90% to pay for all the people that don't have jobs, that are just sitting around, that don't want to work. So how's that for the American dream? You have an idea, you build a company, it becomes successful, and you pay the vast majority of what you make, what the company makes, to the government. Does that sound like democracy? Does that sound like freedom to me? I mean, does it sound like freedom to you? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. And yet it's just soundbite after soundbite. And this is just a sampling. And this is why she gets the press coverage, at least from me, because I want to point out so you can talk to your friends and say that this person who is embraced by, the media and Hollywood and the Democrats does not know what she's talking about. And the more she speaks, the better it is for us, because the policies are not, just outrageous. They're unsustainable, they're not doable, and they lead to a direction of the country that's totally counter to what we were formed on, the beliefs of individual freedom and liberty. Everything she espouses runs counter to that. So, all right, let's move on. So Beto was also there at South by Southwest. Elizabeth Warren was, a lot of people were. It just has turned into this collection of the left, to talk about all things leftist. But of course, he was there to promote a documentary that was done on his failed Senate campaign. So he's pushing that. But the real reason was, of course, because he's going to run for president. So here's a report from the Austin American-Statesman kind of on what he was doing there at the festival. All right, so this is under the title, "At Surprise South by Southwest Appearance, Beto Seems Poised to Make White House Run." 10 days ago, O'Rourke, the former three-term Democrat El Paso congressman, said he and his wife Amy made a decision about the 2020 presidential campaign. He told reporters after the screening, "I want to make sure I do it the right way and tell everybody at the same time, so I'll be doing that. I've got to be on the timeline that works for my family and for the country, so that's the timeline that we're on." So of course that means he's running, because you don't need a timeline to say you're not running. So it's just cheesy buildup. But the paper goes on and reports on Cynthia Cano, who was his deputy campaign manager, and here's what the story reported from her. There's been an outpouring of speculation, excitement, and support from people across the country, everyone eagerly awaiting the news, many of us crossing our fingers and hoping that Beto decides to run, she wrote. If you're on the edge of your seat about Beto's decision around a potential 2020 run for president, you're not alone. Oh my gosh, give me a break. So yeah, we're all hanging on the edge of our seats. Beto's going to announce, he's going to run, he's going to be embraced by the media, and he's just another in the long line of candidates on the left. Tear down the wall in El Paso, according to him, that dropped illegal immigration by 90%. So now it's Movie Monday, and I want to talk about Captain Marvel, because this one it's an interesting movie, and really what I want to get to is the lead up to it, because I'm getting so frustrated about the left and their rants on Trump and all this ideology when I just want to enjoy a movie. Brie Larson came out and was blasting that all the movie reviewers were white. I mean, I guess it's not possible that more white men enjoy being movie reviewers, so they go into that career, than women or women of color or underrepresented groups. That's not possible, I guess, according to her. And then Samuel L. Jackson has been on a anti-Trump rant for a long time now, and most recently, the past couple months, the profanities and everything directed at Trump has just been on and on. But so that led to a distaste in a lot of people leading up to this movie. But let me just get to the movie, because I'm a huge Marvel fan. And here is I want to put this up on the board on the TV. This is our countdown to Avengers Endgame, because we have followed these movies, and if you see at the bottom, this is the list of movies if you want to get ready for Avengers Endgame. Not in release order, but in chronological order. My son posted this on Reddit, and it got some debate on, some people thought the order might be needed to be changed, but this is the order we're watching it. So we saw Captain America, the first Avenger, and that leads to Captain Marvel, because it's set in 1995. And so for a movie in the Marvel, cinematic universe, it's okay. It's definitely not one of the tops like Avengers or Iron Man. It seemed like all the top special effects people were working on Endgame, because I felt the special effects were kind of weak here. And the storyline just seemed flat. There was no big character arc for our main character. She started out as a superhero and ended as a superhero. So it just didn't kind of work like that. But, we saw it. It was okay. Definitely not one of the top ones. But again, it's the controversy that led into this movie, where you just want to say, hey, go plug the movie and stay out of politics, at least until the movie's done and you're not under contract or something, because it really just leads to people being turned off. And me as a big fan, that's not what I want to hear. So anyway, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please jump in on the comments. Let us know what you think of the movie. AOC, Science Guy, whatever. But please leave your comments and please subscribe. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.